Good morning yet. I'm Mike Sigler with Ecessa. How many of you have heard of Ecessa before? A couple people, that's exciting. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're one of those little small companies that not everybody hears about, so I appreciate the fact that there's a few folks that have heard the name. Hopefully after today I can answer some of your questions and kind of leave an impression on who we are and what we can do to help you win in your space, if it be SD-WAN or other. So pleasure to be here today. Appreciate it. So who is Ecessa and what do we do? And what's this whole SD-WAN thing anyway? So first off, we're based in Minneapolis, so it was absolutely a pleasure for me to come down here today. I don't care that it's a little bit cloudy, doesn't matter. We live with all kinds of horrible weather. I'm very happy to be here. So thanks for having me. We are based in Minneapolis. We are privately held. We've been in business for over 15 years. It says 2002 on here is when we first introduced one of our premier products, which is a basic failover and load balancing product called our PowerLink. So Ecessa's been around for a long time, and we've been solving networking problems that long, starting with multi-DSL aggregation, right? When you couldn't get a device to take multiple connections and do something with that bandwidth, we had a product for it in those early 2000s. Over time, we've been adding to the features of our product, including and up to SD-WAN and what used to be called WAN virtualization. So there's been a lot of change in the last couple of years, and a lot of startups and Gartner and others have really helped phrase up what this SD-WAN term should be. And I can tell you a little bit about how I interpret it and how we solve real business problems with that technology. Essentially, our US-based tech support team is also based in Minneapolis, and as the previous presenter talked about, real live person, not overseas, that will pick up your call. Degreed engineers who are there to help you solve problems, not just with our product, but also with customers' firewalls or core switches or other routers. We don't stop with it's not our problem. So that's another one of our important aspects, is we help customers who don't know what SD-WAN is or how to get that technology to work in their environment. We help them get there. We don't drop the box off at your door and say, good luck. We want to make sure that you realize the value of the product, and we walk you through every step of the way. We've got over 10,000 units in the field, again, based on our heritage and experience. And in the last few years, we've seen a lot of growth in that SD-WAN space where people have the multi-site situations where they want to have virtual tunnels across the entire enterprise. Full mesh, never down, never lose a packet. I can tell you in the last 2.5 years of deploying SD-WAN, one of my favorite metrics is ask me how many of those units have come back that people are unhappy with their SD-WAN solution provided by Ecessa. The answer is 0. The answer is 0. And I'll walk you through why that is. It really comes down to how we deploy and how we sell and how we guide people to taking advantage of the technology. It's new. People don't understand what it means or what it can do for their business. So they get confused up front, and we guide them through, and they're very happy with the results. Okay? I always like to start with the why are we here, right? Why is SD-WAN such a hot situation? Well, first, it all comes back to how we use the internet, right? All the presenters today are going to talk about access and usage, and the fact that they're still selling analog phone lines is awesome. But the fact is we use the internet very differently today than we have in the past. So 10 years ago, we were consuming. We were just looking at things. We were downloading some information from CNN. We had maybe one application that we liked to use on the internet. Over time, we've added more and more things to that list of things we like to do, including stuff like Facebook, right, and Netflix. And also now we've got business critical applications that are flowing up and down to the cloud, including our hosted VoIP, including our Salesforce, Amazon.com, you name it, right? We're pushing things up because of the scalability and convenience of the cloud. That's great, except for when your connection, your last mile connection to your business isn't as robust as you want it to be, doesn't have the bandwidth that you want it to be, or once in a while goes out, God forbid, from a storm or whatever it might be. Again, I'm not going to badmouth any carriers either. So with the Ecessa, what can we help you do? We essentially help aggregate connections. We help load balance and failover, and we help provide SD-WAN types of performance to your network. We can bring together multiple connection types. We can help you to prioritize and put that traffic on different lines. We can help you use all the bandwidth that you have in active types of session load balancing capability, where let's say you have a voice over IP hosted in the cloud that's very critical to your business. Okay, we can help you put in dynamic QoS and prioritize that traffic to make sure it goes over maybe your best WAN line, or maybe you want it to session load balance across whichever one's performing the best at that moment. Or if you have a full SD-WAN solution where you have devices at both ends of your network, you can duplicate that traffic and never lose a packet. So it gives you that kind of capability to customize what traffic is important to you, where it goes, how it's treated, and to what level of resiliency you can achieve. Does that make sense? Head nods? Yes? Okay. So the basic market trends are obvious. We've got a lot of different companies are leveraging SD-WAN today. The story gets out. Lots of competitors pushing their products. The word gets out. But I would say probably the so what, who cares in business is hosted VoIP. Everyone is selling hosted VoIP, and for good reason. And they all have different products, but they all rely on that last mile connection. And if you want to continue to build a reputation of superior voice over IP service, you need to also provide capabilities for resiliency and redundancy. The Cradle Point was a great example. That's, I would say, step number one. Our products take that capability to the next level, and we'll walk through that a little bit more. Bandwidth. How many of you think that bandwidth requirements are going to be reducing in the coming years? Yes, thank you. Never, right? This is going to be a runaway train. There's all of these different forecasts as to how much bandwidth people are going to need and how much more people are going to use Netflix or Amazon or different services in the cloud. Okay, throw the forecasts away. It's growing. It's going to continue to grow. So what you need to do for your customers is provide them a platform like what we provide that gives them the flexibility to add on new low-cost bandwidth when they need it, quickly. You do not have to wait 6 months, 9 months for different kinds of connections to get buried across your parking lot in a business. You can add wireless, satellite, microwave, whatever it might be. You can integrate that bandwidth into your business today to address some of these needs. Voice over IP again. One of the benefits of our product is that every solution has a SIP proxy server built into it. So even with a single site, we can help you fail over calls because that product is monitoring that SIP traffic and re-inviting it over multiple lines. So if for some reason there is a loss of connection on one side, we can reroute that connection over back to your BroadSoft ShoreTel instance. So I'll be talking to the folks at Access Point after this to talk about how we can work together to maybe have a more seamless VoIP solution. Same with your basic backup. What about your other traffic, right? Same thing. Anything that's TCP, UDP, whatever it might be, you need to make sure that that stays connected to the internet, and you do not want to have a down instance. So you can be asking your customers, what are you doing about backup? What are you doing about resiliency? Essentially some of our basic fundamental products. Let's dig into SD-WAN a little bit more deeply. It is a big term, right? SD-WAN, software-defined wide area network. Very broad. It's kind of like SDN, right? NFV, very broad. It's about virtualizing things. Okay, fine. But there's a lot of different solutions out there, right? Where does Ecessa sit and where do these other people sit? I try to break it up into 3 pieces. This is how I see the market, if you will. First is virtual solutions. This is where folks like carriers are tying in with names like VeloCloud or Versa or Viptela. You're hearing these different names, and Verizon and others are partnering and they're sending out press releases. It's great. And they're doing that because their entire infrastructure is virtual. They've got that scale. They've got that skill set. They can provide that level of integration, and it's great for them. And if you want to buy an SD-WAN solution from a provider, those are the types of names that are going to be attached to that. Cloud-based solutions are kind of a hybrid approach, if you will. They take the scale and the ubiquity of the cloud, and they put one of their products, a gateway, in the cloud. And then they ship a device to your premise, to your customer's premise, and that's how they make their link. That's how they make their virtual tunnels. Okay? So that's folks like Big Leaf. VeloCloud, in some instances, they go to market for residential or for small business. And some other cloud-based folks that want to be able to provide that gateway in the cloud. And then there's us, traditional players. I call them premise-based, where we kind of come from a core routing background, a heritage, where we believe that all the intelligence for that The decision-making for routing your traffic should be on the box, on-prem, right? There's no reliance on the cloud. There's no reliance on the internet. You have complete control over your solution. So what that means is for an enterprise that only has one site or 100 sites, you have the capability of putting that device in, and you can lock it down. You can also customize it, because not all businesses are the same. If you've got 1,000 bagel shops and you just want to thump, 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 okay, maybe a cloud-based solution is a better route. But if you're dealing with hospitals, if you're dealing with banks, if you're dealing with industrial players that have, their own hosted applications of some kind, our solution is superior because it allows you to have that control and that customization at each side. So kind of a quick snapshot of some of the different architectures for SD-WAN. Now, Ecessa is also proud of our suite of products because, again, we have SD-WAN product in WANworks, but we also have those legacy products we talked about. You don't need to have SD-WAN to solve customers' connectivity problems or their backup or resiliency issues, right? So that's why we have the Ecessa Edge. The Edge is a single site box that you can ship to over-the-top VoIP customers, $50 a month, to provide that level of resiliency and redundancy. It's a starting point, right? For folks that say, why do I want 2 internet connections? How many of you have customers like that? Yeah, exactly, yes. Today, right, still, I go talk to people and they go, oh, but why do I want 2 internet connections? You say, obviously, moving forward, you do not want to be susceptible to outages. This is a good best practice that the entire industry is moving towards. Yes?
So far, you're talking about redundancy to servers in the outside world, outside my business. Is this a solution where I'm running 10 servers in my business office and it's going to provide me DNS and IP redundancy on the back end?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're now talking about the PowerLink. The PowerLink is our oldest product, our legacy product.
So the IPs reside in your box or your software in the cloud?
So again, we do not have any software in the cloud. We're all premise based, and our product will do that authoritative DNS for your internal servers. Yep. And it will do the natting outside. So the PowerLink can do the inbound and outbound failover and load balancing for folks in that type of situation. That's where, again, we've had our traction for many, many years, are selling to folks that need that inbound failover capability that they can't get from anybody else. And that product is alive and well right in the middle of our product portfolio. Again, we came out with the Edge on the lower end. That's an outbound only failover to really help those folks that were still laggards in the, hey, I want some basic backup capability over the top hosted VoIP types of opportunities, where you could bundle this with your SBC, with your phones, and you've got a stepping stone to SD-WAN. That PowerLink adds that inbound capability and VPN. So you can now terminate VPNs, you can create VPNs to your remote users and to anywhere amongst your current enterprise. And then you walk all the way up to WANworks, where you actually can generate those virtual tunnels from site to site. And that's the benefit to that, again, is when you've got that larger organization, you've got 10, 20, 100 sites, and they need to have connectivity to site. Or let's say they're hosting with a PBX their own calls, and they never want to lose a packet of those calls, never want to lose a call from office to office to office. And you can deploy, and I'll show you a picture of kind of how it sits and how it works. The other nice thing about Ecessa is we've got software upgradability for each one of these products. So think about it. Oh, question over here.
Yeah, so how does SD-WAN differ from running BGP?
So SD-WAN in some cases is a replacement for BGP, right? So BGP is a really great solution if you know how to write the protocol, right? You can maintain the protocol. And you've got some limitations on how you can route traffic with BGP, some. SD-WAN kind of virtualizes it and creates tunnels, endpoints to different sites that allow you for free traffic flow from site to site. There's really no limitations. Yeah, great question. Okay. Again, our products are all upgradable with software. So we sell x86-based hardware, industrial computers. Industrial computers are essentially multi-port devices you probably see in a lot of different racks or on desktops. And the software can be programmed to be an Edge, a PowerLink, or a WANworks. So the thing I love about it is you start with that customer who just wants basic one-sided failover, outbound failover. Great, you sell them an Edge. 2 years later, they go, hey, I really need VPN capability. Great. You sell them a software key to PowerLink. A couple years later, they go, hey, I really want to do this SD-WAN thing, and I've got a couple more offices. Great. You sell them a software key to WANworks. You haven't rolled a truck. You haven't had to move that box. Box is the same. So you've got a multi-year, multi-path strategy to keep engaging that customer, keep coming back to them and offering them more and more features, and you don't have to change anything on-prem. So something that we're really proud of.
The basic, so sorry,
Yeah.
it handles the NATing as well?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. The other thing, too, I forgot to mention is a virtual instance. We have, on the WANworks side, we have a virtual instance for folks that do want to integrate into their VMware environments. If you've got customers like that, we can accommodate. Today, not as many people are there, but we've got the capability, just so you're aware. So where do we sit? What does this look like in a network? So the edge, again, being that entry-level model, we always want to be at the edge of the network. We want to be right where those ISPs come in to your premise or to the customer's premise. You're going to have ISP1, ISP2. We're carrier and technology agnostic. We don't care where you get the bandwidth from. We don't care what kind of technology it is. Again, like I said before, as long as it terminates in the Ethernet, we can load balance and fail it over. I've worked with satellite companies, works great. I've worked with wireless 4G, and as 5G comes out, there'll be new opportunities. Traditional private lines, MPLSs, T1s, and of course, commodity broadband. Absolutely integrate those together.
Is this a fully managed product, or do you sell the box and you're done?
No, we can provide a fully managed product, yes.
A could, or you do every time?
Well, we do every time. Now again, different customers don't want our help, so some they say, no, we'll manage this ourselves, fine. But every product we sell comes with an active SLA. And as part of that SLA is access to my technical team that is going to treat you like a managed product. If you don't understand how to turn it on, you don't understand how to configure it, you don't understand how to put it together, you'll call us, we will walk you through it, we'll set up your maintenance windows, and we'll guide you through it step by step.
So it's a monthly service as opposed to a sell of the unit?
No, so another slide, you're helping me out here. We want to be very, very channel friendly, okay? So we're willing to sell to you any way you want, right? If you want CapEx, OpEx, if there's a big enough opportunity, we can do wholesale and white label. So there's a lot of different ways to consume the product. But we're willing to accommodate whatever is the best for your customer in their model.
So if it's done as a I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's done as a CapEx, do you still provide for the monthly or the regular support?
Yes.
Or is that only
Yeah.
OpEx?
Nope. So with the CapEx, you'd have that upfront cost, you'd pay for that outright, and then you'd purchase a 3-year SLA. And then every 3 years, you could renew that SLA. Or you can do it year by year, again, flexible. And then with the OpEx model, then yes, that SLA is included in the monthly fee. Yep, great questions. Yeah.
What would you say to someone that's currently looking at implementing MPLS for 7 sites?
Mm-hmm. Well, I do not position ourselves as an MPLS killer. We say, again, we're agnostic to bandwidth. If you like your MPLS, keep your MPLS, right? So I would say, well,
I have MPLS right now.
okay, so the question would be, why do they want MPLS? Is it because they need the quality of that connection? They feel that they can't achieve the resiliency without it? Then I would say our product might be able to help you create multiple broadband connections that look and feel much like us. Yeah. But again, we have a lot of customers who love their MPLS, and we say, great, keep it. But you can add 100 megabits of broadband for really, really cheap. Right? Or I've got a rural office in the middle of nowhere and I can't get any additional connections. Yes, you can. Sign up Exceed satellite service. Yes, you can. Right? Hook up a 4G modem. Yes, you can. And we can help you manage that bandwidth active. You can leverage it all. It's not just emergency failover. That's a big differentiator as well. Okay. I won't go into too much detail here. This one's about the same. But when it comes to WANworks, this is the differentiator for us. And actually, I like this picture better. WANworks, SD-WAN, provides that ubiquitous connectivity between sites. So in this situation, you have a headquarters unit here, you've got remote sites all over the world, and you've got a blend of private and public connectivity, identified here and here. And you want to be able to create virtual tunnels from site to site. By choosing WANworks and deploying SD-WAN, you create virtualization from endpoint to endpoint. You essentially make all the connections look the same, and the box manages it all through Linux. It's amazing, right? Now, the other thing that's nice about our premise-based solution is it doesn't all have to be the same. You don't have to take all of your traffic and backhaul it back to your gateway device, okay? It's not a requirement. You can decide what you want to do with it. So this one office here, you're actually offloading the internet traffic at that edge, right? Other locations might want to backhaul everything back to that main unit, but you don't have to because it's all premise-based. The decisions are made locally, and you can create that custom routing, traffic protocol, and policy rules for what that business needs at that particular location. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. I like this slide because it actually shows you what the heck am I talking about. Right? So this is a real grocery chain in the Twin Cities area that was using an MPLS and a broadband connection. So this first column here is the MPLS performance, the second is broadband, and the third is what they're achieving with our solution, with WANWorks. Okay? The very top row is latency. It's RTT, right? Second is loss, third is reordering, and the last are outages. And outages are anything from 2 seconds to 90 seconds. We're not talking about big, long outages. We're talking about disruptions, just enough to drop a call, just enough to have to restart a session, just enough to cause an annoyance, right? So what you see up here is what you'd expect, right? That MPLS has got fantastic latency performance. You're paying for that, right? That MPLS is rock solid, low latency, less than 20 milliseconds, fantastic. Has a little bit of loss though. Okay, maybe not a huge deal, because if you're running TCP, it'll retry, it'll catch up. Your reordering is fantastic, very few. So again, that's why people want to route those voice calls over that MPLS. Low latency, low loss, fantastic. Low reordering. There are a couple of quirks or a couple of outages, but they're short. Probably not very perceivable, maybe a couple of drop calls, but not a big deal. Broadband is broadband, right? You get what you get. You've got latency issues, you've got some loss, you've got some reordering, and you've got some outages. No surprise. But when you merge the two together and you use packet duplication, which is your SD-WAN capability with WANWorks, you achieve the right-hand side. You're able to, per second, you're sending the packets down multiple connections. So if something happens to one packet, if it gets out of order, if it gets lost, if it's corrupt, whatever it might be, it's disregarded on the other side, and the best packet wins. So essentially, when that packet wins, you win. This customer were able to actually achieve an 85% improvement in latency based on that duplication, a 99% improvement in loss, 100% improvement in reordering, and it avoided 5 outages. Now this is a perceivable difference when they're running their voice over IP across this network. Now they're never down. They don't lose that call. It doesn't restart a session. Their POC isn't having an issue, right? So their POS, their point of sale is not having any issues. So essentially, this is what it does. This is how the technology can help a real customer, real environment. Okay. Another thing I'm very proud of is how we interoperate with an existing network. A lot of people come to work with us because we don't make them change out their existing infrastructure. We don't say you have to rip out this and replace it with that, or you have to route things here, you have to route things to the cloud, or whatever that might be. We seamlessly integrate with anything. So here is an example of where we sit on the edge of the network, connecting to multiple different router types. We work with WAN optimization, right? If customers already still have riverbeds, right? I've had that. People go, I've got my riverbed, I love it, but it still doesn't help me with this resiliency thing. No problem. You can keep your riverbed. We've got people who have SBCs, right? So they've got stuff from Edgewater and Samsung, no problem, right? They do their job really, really well. They do VoIP provisioning, they do authentication, great. Keep that functionality. But we can help you guarantee that transport across multiple connections. And then, of course, you've got your legacy firewalls and your core switches, no problem. Again, we've got technology partnerships with some of the best in the business, including Palo Alto Networks and Checkpoint. So we understand that you choose the best product for the best role, right? We guarantee that transport. We help you with that SD-WAN. We touched on the pricing model a little bit in terms of CapEx, OpEx, white labeling, et cetera. We like to, things start from $50 a month with the Edge and up to a couple $100 a month for the WANWorks products, and they vary. Our boxes, we size the boxes per bandwidth. So we have products that start at 100 megabits per second and go all the way up to 20 gigabits per second. So depending on what size of infrastructure you need to support, you can do it with our products. And the prices will be different for a 20 gig box than it will be for a 100 meg box. That's another big differentiator for us. So we've got platforms that'll push a gigabit of encrypted traffic without a problem. Okay. Now again, the other piece I want to touch on is portals, right? How many of you have heard about these web portals that everybody has? Right? Yes. Web applications are a must-have for all of these solutions because now you're deploying lots of boxes into different locations and customers want to see what's happening. One of the benefits of these products is the visibility they provide you. You can now see what's going on your WANs like you've never seen before. You can see what's going on in your LAN like you've never seen before. So that visibility gives you a lot of insight as to what's going well, what's not going well. Yes?
So you can actually set it up where emails can come to you saying, hey, your Comcast connection is down.
Correct.
And now we failed over for this.
Correct.
So you can call and bitch at Comcast and try to get a credit.
You can try. Yeah, you can try. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to keep that for later because my business never went down, right? I'm mad at them, and maybe next time I have an opportunity, I'm going to replace them with something else. But you've got the solution there that's going to bypass that problem as it's happening. And I'm also starting to offer service to customers who want me to do the ticketing for them. So they've said, hey, look, I've had it with this. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call them every time I have a problem. I said, fine, pay me an extra fee and I'll do it. So we're starting to do that as well. So if you have any interest in that, let me know. But that's a pilot project I'm working on. Seems to be logical next step. So our Insight is our web-based portal. Again, you're able to log in. This is free. This comes with every product. The Edge, the PowerLink, WANWorks, doesn't matter. You're able to log into the web. You're able to see what devices are on your network, see what status they are, see who's performing well, who isn't performing well, manage configurations, ... Lots of power in here. I won't bore you with the details. And the emails and SMS text messages for those critical alerts that are going to be occurring on your network. Okay. Now, one of the things that sets us apart, again, is our deployment process. We do not just drop you a box and say, good luck. All right? There is no such thing as zero touch. I'm just going to be very bold and say that. You're going to hear people say zero touch deployment. It's not realistic. Okay? You're talking about putting a new technology into customers' existing production networks. You should never, ever take that as a small step. So our team goes through a 3-step process for deployment. Step number 1, do no harm, right? Put the box into their network into a translucent bridge mode, pass traffic, demonstrate interoperability. Do not break anything, right? Because the last thing you want with a new customer trying out a brand new technology is to what? Mess up their existing network, right? You're never going to have another chance at that customer again. You're going to wreck your own reputation. So we do not do that, right? We start by putting the box in a bridge mode, pass traffic, make sure we're not breaking anything, make sure that they're happy with the process. We let that sit for a little while. Again, it can be hours, it can be days, it's up to the customer. Then we'll come back and start turning on features. Now we'll start to put that traffic into those routing modes. We'll start to do that failover. We'll start to test before and after our changes to see how is it working. Is it failing over fast enough? Are the dynamic QoS settings okay? Right? Because we can throttle that traffic. Are we throttling it too aggressively? Do we need to change our policies a little bit? So that's step 2. We'll lock that down. Then we'll come back after a little while and say, how's it going? Right? Do you need anything tweaked? Do you want anything tweaked? Are customers at this remote site still complaining, or has it solved their problems? And then we come in and do a final optimization phase if they need it, and then we lock it down. So again, we want to make sure that SD-WAN has a good name, this technology works, and like I said, I have a track record of 0 people returning gear once I've deployed it, so I do not want to break that record. So this process takes anywhere from 1 week to 30 days from the time you say, let's sign the paperwork to let's deploy it into a live network. Really depends on how fast the customer is moving and if they have all the bandwidth they need. Questions? Okay. So why Ecessa? Well, again, we have a track record of WAN management equipment. We've been in this business for a long time. We've provided a lot of different customers with different solutions, both just basic authoritative DNS and NATing, all the way up to full SD-WAN. We're scalable. All of those devices are software upgradable. So if you decide to deploy 100 edges now and you want to upgrade them later, no problem. We've got a deployment process that works. Probably industry best practice. Our support team is awesome. I get emails. You never get emails about people praising you, right? You always get the nasty grams. I actually get emails from people saying, hey, go tell Lori on your support staff how awesome she is. I'm like, okay, I like these, right? No problem. So our support staff is awesome. Management and analytics, you can see into your environment like you've never seen into it before. And your customers can finally get a sense of what they're paying for, right? Maybe that MPLS is rock solid. Maybe they want to renew that contract because it is so awesome. This gives them a chance to, I'm just being, this gives them a chance to see that and see how amazing that is. And then it's a proven technology. We got lots of devices in the field. Enough said. Okay, so how can we help you, right? What's in it for you as partners? We have a partner program. We obviously work through our master agency today. So we have all of those pieces in place. So we like to be channel friendly. So all the things that you know and love about working in the channel, we'll support that. We're flexible on our pricing models, like I said earlier. We'll do CapEx, OpEx, white label, wholesaling. We'll provide training. So if you run into a customer who wants to learn this and do it themselves, no problem. I have a certification program on Convey in our site that I will provide you all of the videos and all of the training modules you need to get them up to speed. So again, something that you can take them from zero to hero in a very short period of time. Co-marketing in a one-stop shop. We're willing to do whatever it takes. We've got a lot of material out there. If you want to do some co-branding with us, we're open to that. Let us know. How we help you, right? So we can help you, again, differentiate how you're selling. I always like to say SD-WAN helps customers take back control of their WAN, right? Again, it allows for people to leverage the connections they already have, leverage new connections they didn't think they could ever use, and renegotiate those contracts that they don't like. It gives them the power to manage their network even with some other carrier changes that might be happening. Okay? Of course, we have all the other spiffs and things that we like to do. Okay? And I think that's kind of where we're at. The other question I like to ask is, how do you identify an opportunity? Fairly simple. Again, our products range from that simple edge, which is basic failover and load balancing, all the way up to full SD-WAN. So I always like to ask things like this, what are you doing about failover and backup? A lot of times customers don't know, or they're doing nothing. There's an opportunity to have a conversation. All right, what about your bandwidth? What about your cloud applications? What about your VoIP? Are there any applications that are not performing well for you? Those are some simple questions that you can leverage. Okay? All right. And then I guess last but not least, and I'll be sensitive to my time, case studies, right? So don't take my word for it. We have a lot of customers who are willing to put their name on our case studies, including Kimpton Hotels, Egan, which is a manufacturing company in the Twin Cities, Summit Partners, which is a VC firm. They have worldwide deployments that we've helped them support. And Amtote. Have any of you been to a horse racing track and put bets on horses? It's okay, you can raise your hand. Okay, I do. Amtote is the software behind that betting system, and we power that network. It's obviously a very secure environment, and they cannot be down, right? No lost pings. That's unacceptable to lose a ping, unacceptable to lose a packet for obvious reasons, especially during the different major race tracks or different race events. So we power their network. They've had 0 lost pings since they've deployed us. Different banking case studies. I won't bore you with the details. Love to chat with you after. Appreciate the opportunity today. Thank you.